Hello, my name's Sherry Forsyth and I'm a peak performance coach. And for the whole month of April, I'm discussing challenging emotions, not negative emotions or destructive emotions, because I do believe that if we harness and turn these challenging emotions around, it can be a very huge learning curve for us, and it can make us, well, if we use it as an indicator, it can make us a lot stronger. So today I'm speaking about imposter syndrome, which I'm not sure whether you guys have heard about it. So I'm going to tell you what imposter syndrome is, what the possible causes might be. I'm not going to spend too much time doing that. How to recognize it in yourself and possibly others. And then finally a few tips on what to do about it. So in my coaching practice, I have found that the feeling of not being good enough or being inadequate is almost endemic. Now, the imposter syndrome is just one of the contributing factors to not feeling good enough. And so that's what I'm going to be concentrating on today, is the imposter syndrome. So what actually is it? Okay, what is it? In today's world, we have a lot of pressure to be perfect. We need to be super efficient. There's a huge pace and a huge expectation of us that I think contributes a lot to imposter syndrome. So this is what it is. Okay, when you are just waiting, you've been quite successful in what you're doing, but you're just waiting for your colleagues or your family members to find out that you're not actually as great as the image you project or the success that you've reached. Because at your essence, you believe that you are a fraud. Okay? You believe that you can't really do the things that you've done. It's just been up to good luck. You're just waiting for them, in other words, them being everybody out there, to find out the real you, who is actually a failure, who is totally useless, who cannot do anything. Imposter syndrome is very fear-based, okay? And if you suffer from it, you generally are always anxious that you'll be found out. And we're talking now about hugely successful people that suffer from imposter syndrome. People who have published 13 books, and they just know that in the next book they publish, they will be found out. So don't feel alone. There are lots of people who suffer from it. So a kind of a definition of imposter syndrome is it can be defined as a collection of feelings of inadequacy that persist despite success. Okay, despite your success. Imposters suffer from chronic self-doubt and a sense of being an intellectual fraud. And these two feelings override any feelings of success or external proof of your confidence. Okay, so that's the more formal definition. Okay, so I said earlier it's quite common. Well, how common is it? Actually, 70% of people will experience these imposter syndrome feelings at some point in their life, okay, according to the International Journal of Behavioral Science. So why do people suffer from imposter syndrome? Does it come from nature or nurture? The old dilemma that affects many of the states that we are in as human beings. So there are very different schools of thought on whether it's nature or nurture. Some people believe that it comes from your parents. You might put a label onto you and then you feel you have to live up to that particular label even though it's not really part of you. Personally, I believe that we are in charge of our destiny and we can choose to rise up above our circumstances, whatever they may be. We can play an active role in overcoming possibly imposter syndrome. We have that within us. We just have to know how to do it. So let me ask you how you can recognize if you might be a sufferer of imposter syndrome. Okay, so there is a test at the following website, which I will write down so that you can get the full address, but it's paulineroseclance.com. Okay, paulineroseclance.com, and then just put in test and it'll take you there, but I will give you that shortly. Okay, so how do you recognize it in your life? Firstly, you can do that test. It'll give you a good idea. Secondly, do you suffer from any of these following things? Chronic self-doubt and a sense that you are an intellectual fraud. Okay, you seem unable to internalize the accomplishments that you reach. It doesn't matter how successful you are in your field. Okay. Another one is a huge pressure of I must not fail. I'm not allowed to fail. So there's a lot of pressure currently in our world not to fail, to always be perfect, to produce the goods. And if we fail, oh my word, finally we'll be found out. Okay? We'll be found out. And so the I must not fail actually is linked to the inability to enjoy your success. And I don't mean arrogantly so, just a quiet little pat on the back that I did really well. Okay? A person with imposter syndrome cannot do that. The third thing that will help you recognize if you suffer from imposter syndrome or not is that you feel like a fake. You feel you don't deserve the success that you've got. You just are deceived into thinking that it's all a bit of a mistake. Okay? Sooner or later you're going to be found out or discovered or unmasked to be the fraud, to be this person who actually is not good enough, who is inadequate in their job. Okay? Often people who are suffering from imposter syndrome will feel they don't deserve the accolades. They don't deserve the success. They don't deserve the promotion. They don't know how it happened. Maybe they had nobody else that was better. Okay? So very self-deprecating, but in a toxic way, not a humble way. I hope that makes sense. The fourth thought that we're thinking about is it's all down to just good luck. My talent and my skills and my hard work actually had nothing to do with my success. I just was really lucky. Okay, so once again, coming down hard on yourself and not believing in why you have achieved your success. Okay, and because you think it was a fluke, you say that, oh, it was just a fluke, which means then that the next time you might have success, you can follow that same thinking. Oh, it was just a fluke. Okay? And then the last one is that actually success is not a really big deal, is it? You tend to downplay the success that you have achieved. You might say things like, oh, it actually was so easy anyway. It wasn't a problem for me. The other linked to that is when people do praise you and say, wow, that was really good. You kind of don't really believe them, and you shunt those compliments to one side. And once again, you put it down to good luck, good timing, just a fluke. It isn't actually really you. So, do any of these things sound familiar to you? Could you maybe be suffering from imposter syndrome? If you are, and you're watching this live or via the rebroadcast, please, in the comment box below, just put down yes. And let's take comfort in the fact that lots of people might be suffering from this, and you're not the only one. So, just a yes in the comment box will be lovely. Okay, so the final part of this talk is, so how do we overcome it? How can we overcome imposter syndrome? So before I even get into possible solutions, I just want to make sure that you understand that people who don't feel like imposters are no more intelligent or capable than those that do. I'd like to say that again because it's really important. Those who don't feel like imposters are no more intelligent, efficient, or capable than those who do suffer from it. Okay, the only difference is that during that same challenge, for some people it will trigger the feelings of being an imposter, for others it won't. The only difference is between being an imposter or not is that those that don't feel the imposter feelings, they just think different thoughts. That's it. So we're all going along in life, we have the same challenges, but the difference of those suffering from imposter syndrome and not is purely in the thoughts that they think. Okay. So this is really good news, because then it means that if that's all it is, we have the power to change our thoughts and our beliefs. And in the coaching I do, it is hugely relevant. We work lots with people in helping them to change those beliefs and thoughts, and it can be done. It requires a bit of effort, but it certainly can be done. So that's great news. So I want to say this very important thing. The only way to stop feeling like an imposter is to stop thinking like an imposter. Okay, so you might forget all these other tips that I'm going to give to you, but if you remember only one thing from today, it's this: the only way to stop feeling like an imposter is to stop thinking like one. Okay, stop thinking like one. So here are a few tips for you. The first one. One of the first steps in overcoming this imposter syndrome is to acknowledge the thoughts that you're having and put them all into perspective, particularly now after this video that you might know a little bit more about it. Put them into perspective. Okay? And one really important question that can help you with that is this one. Does that thought help or hinder me? So whatever thoughts are coming through to you of inadequacy, oh, I'm so useless, oh, I can't do this, oh, it's just good luck, are those thoughts helping me or hindering me? Very important question. The second thing is you can reframe your thoughts. In other words, think about it in a different way. So we'll respond to challenges in the not imposter thinking rather than the imposter thinking. So instead of telling yourself that, oh, everyone is going to find out that I can't do anything, instead of saying I don't deserve success, say something like, it's normal not to know everything. And I'm new at this, so I'll find ways to do this as I progress. I don't have to have all the answers. Okay? The fact that I feel useless right now does not mean that I am useless. Okay? I'm feeling useless because it's a new challenge or a new job. I don't really know what I'm doing, and that is completely normal. Okay? The other thing that helps a lot is for us to embrace our humanity and know we all make mistakes, and to do as many professional athletes do, and they take the lessons from a failure or not doing something perfectly and use them very constructively in the future. Okay, so instead of thinking, for example, wait till they find out that actually I have no idea what I'm doing, try this one. Everyone who starts something new feels off base in the beginning. I may not know all the answers now, but I'm really smart enough to find them out. Okay, immediately we are treating ourselves with self-compassion, which is one of the prime ingredients in letting go of imposter syndrome. Okay, with me so far? The third way is to seek support. Okay? Now that you know what imposter syndrome is, maybe other people don't know, you can speak to them about it. And it really does help if you've got a mentor or a really close friend where you can just share those feelings of being inadequate and being not feeling that you are good enough. Okay? Just to know that you don't have to go it alone. And hopefully that mentor will be able to hold that space for you very safely and reassure you that you can change your thoughts and not suffer so much from this imposter syndrome. If you are really battling to change your thoughts, there are lots of professional people who are prepared to help you, psychologists, coaches. Find one in your area and ask them to help you through the process, give you the tools that you need to change your thinking. Okay? Having said that, in order to break the silence, what we have to overcome is the shame in the fact that we are feeling this way. So it requires quite a lot of courage for you to chat to somebody. But take the bull by the horns. I guarantee you that as soon as you open the door, you'll find that many people feel the same way. Okay. The fourth thing that you need to do is to be kind to yourself, which in other words is self-compassion. This is becoming a huge antidote to so many of our societal ills. So self-compassion, if you're wanting to find out more, the guru on self-compassion is Kristen Neff. I have mentioned her before. That's Kristen with a K, and Neff is spelled N-E-F-F. Go and look on YouTube, go and Google her, and you will see a huge amount of valuable tools that she can give you. So remember that we don't have to be perfect, but if we should make a mistake, we can forgive ourselves. That's self-compassion. Henry Ford once said that failure is only the opportunity to begin again more intelligently. So let's embrace that thought and let us do that. So instead of beating ourselves up, let's look at trying to learn from it, trying to forgive ourselves, realizing that today wasn't so good, but maybe tomorrow will be better. Okay? We also need to look at the rules that we've made for ourselves. Things like, I always have to know the answer. I need to always be right. In my position as this hugely important person in my business, I know that I can never ask for help. All of those rules are contributing to huge pressure for yourself, but also to the imposter syndrome. So let's toss those away into the waste paper basket. Point 5 is the whole process of visualization, which is so effectively used by many people, and particularly peak performance athletes. So we need to visualize. We need to picture ourselves being successful in our work. Not being perfect, but being excellent. Okay? If we should make a mistake, we forgive ourselves and we carry on. So we're going to visualize ourselves being successful. We're going to visualize ourselves being very calm. We're going to visualize ourselves having the thinking that is not imposter syndrome thinking. Okay, it's thinking, I can do this. It might be new, but I'm allowed to make mistakes. Just to give yourself a bit of slack. Okay, the 6th point is to separate feelings from fact. Okay, there are times when you will feel stupid, and possibly because it's doing something new, and we all feel like that. But just realize that maybe because you feel stupid, it doesn't mean that you are stupid. Okay, it doesn't mean that your identity is that you are stupid. It's just a feeling of, at that particular time, you might be feeling a little bit stupid. Okay, the 7th point is to reward yourself. Learn to pat yourself on the back when you've done something well. Just to yourself. No one else needs to know. Just think, I did really well in that thing today. Okay, and the last one is to fake it till you make it. Okay, now and then we all have to fly by the seat of our pants. This is a whole new way of you thinking. We're going to stop you from going into your default mode of not feeling good enough, not feeling adequate, okay, but rather exactly the opposite to that. So we need to change our behavior first, and our feelings will follow. And that is what faking it till you make it really means. So I just want to say again, okay, the only way to stop feeling like an imposter is to stop thinking like an imposter. That's it in a nutshell. So if you'd like to Google more and find out more about an imposter syndrome, the lady who is internationally renowned for her work in this is Dr. Valerie Young, and her information is really fantastic. A lot of the information included in this video do come from her. So in conclusion, most people experience doubt, and that's completely normal. The important part is not to let that doubt become a permanent part of who you are and how you control your actions. We will allow you to have an imposter moment, but not an imposter life. Does that make sense? In a moment, we can easily override it and overcome it, but we don't want to have this syndrome for life. So it's important to realize that that imposter syndrome, that little voice in your head, is telling you lies. Okay? Telling yourself that you are not good enough, telling yourself that you are inadequate. That is the lie of imposter syndrome. So let's not think like an imposter. Let's rather be compassionate to ourselves, not expect perfection, not beat ourselves up when something goes wrong. That is all part of the human condition that we embrace. So let us fully embrace it all by engaging fully, successfully, and compassionately with our life. Let's change those thoughts, which is very possible. So as always, I thank you for joining me for this video. I hope it has been of value. If you know somebody who might be suffering from this very debilitating condition, please share the video. Please like it. Please follow me on Facebook or on YouTube if you're not a Facebook person. These exact same videos will also be up on my YouTube channel at Sherry Forsyth. If you want to go and have a look at my website at sherryforsythcoaching.com, I would love to have you visit that. And I would like to invite you to listen to my next live Facebook, which will be next Thursday in a week's time. And this time I will be discussing guilt and shame. So thank you for joining me, and I look forward to you joining me again next week.